Hi, my name is April, and I'm a peaceful wife. Today I'd like to talk about something that is actually a sin, but many of us, even as Christian women, are not aware of this. So I want to start in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. And Paul is writing to the people in Corinth, and they obviously wrote him questions, and we don't have the questions that they asked, so we're kind of just hearing one side of the phone conversation here. But he says, it is good for a man not to marry, but since there is so much immorality, each man should have his own wife, and each woman her own husband. The husband should fulfill his marital duty to his wife, and likewise the wife to her husband. The wife's body does not belong to her alone, but also to her husband. In the same way, the husband's body does not belong to him alone, but also to his wife. Do not deprive each other, except by mutual consent, and for a time, so that you may devote yourselves to prayer. Then come together again, so that Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. All right. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 7, the first 5 verses. I would like us as Christian wives to embrace the idea of being available to our husbands whenever our husbands are interested in having physical intimacy. This is probably a new concept for a lot of wives, but the idea is when you're married, the only God-ordained sexual outlet that you have is your spouse. And if we deprive each other in our marriage sexually, then we are opening the door for temptation. And I don't want to see that happen. So let's have this joyful willingness, this beautiful attitude of, I'm yours, I'm available whenever I can possibly be available. And a lot of wives think, well, I have so much to do. I'm working full-time or I'm working part-time and I have children and I'm still nursing the baby and I'm only sleeping 4 hours a night and I have to do all the chores too and my husband won't help me. That's too much. That is definitely too much. I don't think that any human being can handle all of that. So it may be a good time to, first of all, pray and begin talking to your husband respectfully, learn to cut out the disrespect, and ask him, what can I take off my plate so that I can make you a much greater priority? Here's all the things that I am expected to do. I can't do all of it. I want you to be my top priority right under God. So what can we get rid of so that I will have the time and energy for you that you deserve? I think that would be a great approach. But in the meantime, I want to see us enjoy our husbands. Be glad that they desire us. And now if you're a wife who your husband refuses you a lot, that is very painful. And I have some posts about that. You can look on my blog, www.peacefulwife.com, and you can search the pain of sexual rejection, and you should be able to pull up the post about that. But there are wives who feel like a piece of meat, and they feel like, well, I don't get an emotional connection with my husband. I don't feel connected spiritually. He wants me all the time physically, but I feel disconnected, and I just feel like a piece of meat. There's also a post on my blog about that. You can search, I feel like a piece of meat, and you should pull up that article. If you have trouble, leave me a comment, and I'll help you find it. So let's be available to our husbands. Let's enjoy them physically. Let's make time and let's change our schedules. If we have too many baseball games for the kids going on, baseball is not as important as our marriage covenant, the unity in our marriage. There's got to be time for our marriage. And that intimacy, that physical intimacy, is a glue that keeps us together and it helps us to stay united as one. And it is important for us to make time for that. We tend to be so busy, way too busy in our culture, and that's why our relationships are suffering. First thing that goes is our time with God. When we're working all the time and we're exhausted and we have to do all the housework and take care of the kids, and then the next thing that goes is the time with our husband. And that's sad because our very first priority should be God, and our second priority needs to be our husband, and then the children after that. So let's look at our priorities, look at how we're spending our time, and see what might be able to be taken out of our schedule and how we might have an attitude of being willing, available, and joyful and receptive, open to our husband's sexual advances towards us. You can check out my blog at www.peacefulwife.com.